Hello, this is How's Your Mental Health with Melina and Beth. I am Melina.
And I'm Beth. Hello, how you doing?
Um, you were saying you had a busy day?
Oh God, yes.
Notice she went from smiling to ugh.
He can change so fast. Within a second, I can go from whoo to
Today is going to be an unusual topic. I'm going to be talking a lot about my own experience with this topic, and it is not going to be an easy discussion. Um, so let's just get right on into it. I know at one point I think we had, with two other things, we had a thing on acceptance, but this here is going to kind of narrow it down to three particular aspects. The first one is the hardest one for me, and I'm sure for other people, is to accept whatever's happened in the past. And this here is where it gets difficult for me because I'm going to go into a little bit for myself. And 2000 is when I started therapy. But around 90, the middle part of 96 is when I started wondering if how my mom treated me was appropriate. But I didn't want to believe that it was not. So from the middle part of 96 till 2018, I was not accepting what was in front of me, what had happened to me, the sexual abuse that I went through, the physical, the emotional, and the mental abuse that I went through. Because I was not willing to accept any of it. Number one, I went into an abusive marriage. Number two, I ended up losing custody of my boys, ended up going into assisted living. I also ended up going to in and out of psych rehabs, psych hospitals. I wasn't willing to accept it, so I wasn't willing to deal with it. Um, and because I also wasn't willing to accept it, I ended up going back into the abusive situation, which almost cost my life. I had dabbled in, more than dabbled, but I did some self mutilating, which we'll discuss at a later time. But all of this stuff happened because I wasn't willing to accept. My mom sexually abused me. My mom physically abused me. She mentally abused me. She emotionally abused me. You know, and in 2018, several individuals helped me to finally come to terms. Yes, it happened to me. Was it easy? Hell no. It was not easy. And those that helped me can tell you I fought tooth and nail. But now that I know and I've accepted it, I have also been able to grow from it. So once you can accept whatever it is in your past, an accident that left you different than what you were before the accident, loss of something or someone, a trauma like I went through, whatever it is, even if you're the one that did the abusing, I have heard many stories that families that were very close knit during the quarantine ended up becoming abusive. So, I mean, there's guilt, there's whatever. You have to accept it and then grow from it. Because once you can grow from it, then you can kind of like, and I ain't going to say leave it in the past because it's not always there. I mean, it's going to be with me for the rest of my life, but it's not at the forefront anymore. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about with the acceptance is if you have a mental health diagnosis, which I do, I have PTSD, bipolar with manic episodes, and generalized anxiety disorder. So what? I also have diabetes. Okay? I know there's a stigma out there, but you don't let that stigma stop you. You don't let that stigma say what's right. Your diabetes, your bipolar go hand in hand. Your physical and your mental, just like we talked about last week. And along with that, medication. I was the worst When I first got on medication, felt good. I didn't take it. Wound up in the psych hospital. Medicine has to stay in your body in order for it to work. Just like my diabetes medicine has to stay in my body, my psych meds have to stay in my body. You have to accept all of this here so you can grow.
And one of the things in talking about that, Melina just recently had to go to the hospital to have fluids, and come to find out she had a UTI, and that UTI was eating up her medications.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to adjust her meds accordingly to get them back into her system fluidly.
So,
and again, we are not trained professionals. We're just sharing with you what can happen and what has happened with Melina, so that in hopes of helping anybody. And if you've got questions or want support, our email is running right down below on the ticker. Drop her an email. She'll be glad to chat with you and be a good, solid support.
And I did want to say this at the beginning, and I wish I had, but if you are triggered by anything that is being said, please shut off your phone, shut off your iPad, your computer, whatever it is you're watching us on, shut it off. Contact a friend, contact mental health, suicide prevention hotline, 911, whatever, just seek help. Okay? I don't want anybody to come to harm because of this. This here is to help, not harm. So, do you have anything else, Beth?
No, I was just going to remind people how quickly things can happen in the event of any other illness, how that can trigger medications. Because I know my father suffered with chemical balance issues or bipolar. And as soon as he would get a UTI, it would throw all of his medications completely off. And we were in the hospital dealing with trying to get him back level, dealing with trying to level him and get his physical health under control. It was a challenge.
Yeah. I have a poem that I'm going to share. I had typed it up and I had tested it to see if I could screen share it and see if people could actually see it. Now, when I tested it, people could see it. So I'm hoping you can see it. I will have to move the cursor up and down. This is a poem I had wrote several years ago. But I've always been very selected on who sees it. So this is the first time that I am just kind of putting it out there. Okay, the title is It. It didn't happen to me. Mom just liked to help me bathe. It didn't happen to me. Men just like to play games. It didn't happen to me. I'm just sad all the time. It didn't happen to me. I just want to die. Maybe it did happen to me, but it's not their fault. Maybe it did happen to me, but I deserved it. Maybe it did happen to me, but it's no big deal. It did happen to me. It is their fault. It did happen to me. I didn't deserve it. It did happen to me. It is a big deal. It did happen to me. It shaped me into the person I am. I am a survivor. And a few months ago, or about a year ago, I added this last part to it. From surviving to thriving. It did happen to me, but I am no longer surviving. It did happen to me, but it no longer runs my life. It did happen to me, but I am now thriving. I was able to add that last part only because I had finally accepted what happened. So it makes a difference. until you can accept your past, whatever it may be. We all have one. Until it can be accepted, we can't grow. And by me accepting it, I have been able to get my own place, have friends, meet people like Beth, do this here where I'm hoping I am impacting somebody out there. So you never know what can happen once you accept your past. Beth?
That's incredibly true. It's tough, and it's been tough for Melina to do this. And I, in the going on 3 years that I've known you now, you have grown so tremendous. The fact that you're even doing these podcasts and wanted to do these podcasts is phenomenal to me. And I'm always in awe. I always tell her, I said, "This is your podcast. It's not mine." I'm just like, I'm just here for the joy.
I tell it it's a joint collective effort.
No, I'm here to make the funny sounds and, not pay attention. But
the only reason why she's not doing funny sounds today is because I've asked her not to.
Yeah, we can't make funny sounds today. This is very serious.
Yeah.
And she wanted to remain very serious. But I'm proud of her, and I'm proud of everything that she's accomplished, everything that she's done. Some days still she drives me completely bonkers, texting me to tell me everything.
That is my job. I am your adopted little sister, and little sisters bug big sisters. So. But I don't know why, but I felt led to do this. It's been on my mind for a while, and I keep putting it off because I disclosed a lot about myself tonight, and I'm hoping it'll be okay.
Well, I kind of interrupted the train of thought that you were in when I interjected there. Can you back up to where you about were of the things that were happening, or did you feel like you reached that point?
I'm not even quite sure what you're talking about.
Well, were you concluded, or I felt like I interrupted your train of thought, interjecting how things can change rapidly.
Oh no, you were fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I thought I threw you off.
No, I was just gonna say, like we had said last week, with the accepting the diagnosis and accepting the medication and taking it as prescribed. It's the same as the physical, mental, like we talked about last week. You have to treat one in order to treat the other in order to treat the one. I mean, they go hand in hand. I mean, and you have to accept the fact that you need that medication.
Well, and I had been on years ago. I was on Zoloft because I had a very bad breakup. It caused me a lot of anxiety. My blood pressure was through the roof. My heart was flying. I had to chill. So they did a low dosage of Zoloft, and I was great on that. Well, in 2007, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and for some reason, my MS doctor decided that I needed to be on a different medication for depression in correlation with my MS. So he changed me to Effexor, which is much higher dosage, much stringent drug than Zoloft. And I went through, excuse my language, hell, because that medication made me feel suicidal. It made me feel till it totally got in my system. Once it got on my system, then I've been on it all this time. Well, I went through this thing recently where I wanted to get off of it. So I started, instead of taking it every day, I took it every other day for what was it, 2 or 3 weeks?
Something like that.
And then I started skipping and going 2 or 3 days. And then I went 4 days. Then I went cold turkey. Well, Melina tell you, she went with me on vacation to the mountains. I was a rip snorting ill ass person for a while, wasn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Till I went back to the doctor and I said, you got to give me something. I got to have something or I'm going to snap. And, you know, when you deal with men all day, nothing against you guys, but have a way of pushing our buttons. I don't know what it is and why you even attempt to try to do that. I don't know why you try it.
Well,
But
we have to also say that we have a tendency to push their buttons sometimes too.
well, yeah, we do.
We have to do it
Yeah,
around.
I can key in on that. I am guilty. I am guilty. So I told the doctor, I said, you got to put me back on, but I want to be on Zoloft because I felt like it was a calming, better drug. What do you think? Is it a calming and better drug for me?
Yeah, you're much better now.
Yeah.
You're not biting my head off anymore.
Yep.
I thought for sure you liked the taste of Melina's head.
I know. It's a good thing she's a mild mannered person. I tell you what, it's tough. It's tough to live in this world.
But see, even you had to admit you needed that medicine.
I did.
You know, and you had to
And
accept that.
I didn't want to admit it, but I had to. And then I also went off my blood pressure medicine. I had to go back on it because my blood pressure was up. My
You had to
cholesterol was
accept
up.
it.
I was.
I mean, you had to accept the fact you need this medication.
I know. And,
In
you know,
order to
I'll be glad when the day comes that we won't have to take all this. But until then, I got to have it, evidently.
Mm-hmm. So.
And it's a drag.
Oh, yeah. And medicine's out there for a reason. It needs to be monitored, in my own opinion.
Yes, definitely monitored.
You know, I don't think we should go out willy-nilly and get whatever we want. Medicine needs to be monitored. But it's made for a reason.
And there's times when, you know, you as an individual, you know what works best for you.
Yeah.
And, you know, don't be afraid to talk to your doctor about it and say, hey, you know, I felt better when I was on this, or I feel like I need a lesser dosage. Is there something that you're seeing why you think I need this?
Right.
A higher dose. You are paying the doctor.
Yeah.
They're not paying you to be there.
Don't be afraid to question the doctor. Why are you giving me this? What does this diagnosis mean?
Exactly.
But also, if you can see their point of view, also accept the fact that, yeah, maybe this is what's needed to be done. You know, I mean, you can't question every little tiny detail.
No, but you can question. And don't be afraid to, because doctors don't know everything. As much as they want to profess they are even supreme, they are not.
Okay. Now, I'd like to reiterate about the acceptance of your past. All right.
Okay.
In my own opinion, and of course that is my own opinion, nobody can grow from their past until they accept it, till they let go of the guilt. I had guilt and it wasn't even my fault. So let go of the guilt, let go of the blame. Yes, my mom did this. There had to have been something physically, mentally wrong in her own brain to do this to me. You know, I mean, you have to let it go and just accept, yeah, it happened. Okay? I can't change it. It happened. but I can change how I move from this day forward.
Exactly.
So, but Beth, if you have anything else, because I'm about done.
Kudos. I applaud you for admitting everything that you admitted and for going through that. And then maybe maybe sometime we can talk about detailing some of the aspects of what you went through on another time
Yeah,
and in another podcast. But
yeah.
it's exceptional.
People have gone through worse than I did, and some haven't gone through as much as I have. So it is what it is.
It is. But you know what? The blessing is to realize it, understand it, and walk past it.
Mm-hmm. That's why I thought we need to do this acceptance thing. So
You're absolutely correct. Absolutely.
I hope you all have a blessed evening and a good week. Remember, if you are triggered or if you feel unsafe, please contact your local mental health provider, contact the suicide prevention hotline, contact 911, and remember, if you do contact 911, to just let the dispatcher know that it is for a mental health reason and they can get them a more appropriate action and help for you. So I hope you all take care and be safe.
Be good to you.